Hey guys, today we are going to practice sourcing a document. So in AP World History on both multiple choice, short answer, and document-based questions, you may look at a document and need to know its sourcing. And what sourcing means is that you're considering the source itself as it stands and as it relates to the document and its point of view. So you don't have to do all of these 5 things. We're going to talk about things that make you happy. There's 5 skills you'll need to know. You may not do all of them for every document, but you should understand how to do all of them so that when the time comes, if you need to understand its purpose, point of view, audience, or historical context, you're ready to roll. So let's talk about each one of these things, starting with your H for happy, for historical context. This is the idea of where does this document fit in history? How does what's happening surrounding the document relate to what's being said in the document? What are some things that you might already know about this document that can help people to better understand it? So H is the historical context. It's what surrounds the document itself. A stands for audience. With your audience, it's asking, who is this written for? How might that impact what it's being said? Was this meant for everyone to read or view, or was it just meant for a certain person or a couple of certain people? And how does that impact its accuracy? So is this something that's meant to persuade a large group of people, and may it include, say, fake news to incorporate that? Or is this something that is more specific to one certain person? Purpose will be your first P. And so purpose is the idea of why was this thing written in general? So is this written to persuade somebody? Is it written just to give some facts? Is it written just to vent to somebody's wife? Or to make somebody look better in somebody else's eyes? What's the goal in making this source? And how does that impact what's being said? In every single point in happy, you want to look at what is the point, or in every single point, the question is, how does its purpose or its audience or its context or its point of view, every single time you're asking, and how does that impact what's being said? What does that mean for its reliability or its accuracy? Keep in mind that in history and in life, everything has some sort of a bias or a slant. Everything. What's coming out of my mouth now has some sort of bias or slant. So the word bias is not really that great of a word to use here. We're looking at its reliability, which is a little bit different. The second P is for point of view. Point of view is going to be still looking at a lot of different things. And so in this case, it could be their gender. So especially in early civilizations where patriarchy is significant, the way that a woman might speak, or the way a man might speak about a woman, might have a huge impact on what's being said. How about their job? So if my job is as a servant to the king, I might be saying that the things that I am doing for the king are much greater or more significant in order to keep my job and my status. How about my background? So if I'm from a certain area and I'm talking about that to another person, would I be trying to persuade them it's good? Or may I come at it from a different perspective than, say, somebody from that area would? Nationality, age can be significant, religion, there's a lot of different things. So consider that if they had a different occupation, or if something about them were different, would that impact what's being said? And how might that influence specifically what's being said in the document? So point of view is complicated. It could mean a lot of different things. When you're analyzing point of view, you don't want to say, Susie is a woman. Cool. So how does that impact what she is saying in this particular time? Finally, the Y in happy is why. So it doesn't stand for the letter, it stands for the word. So why does this document help you analyze the question or topic? So in this case, you're looking at all of these things, the context, the audience, the purpose, and the point of view. And you're also considering, here you go back to the question, say, how do those things analyze the document or topic? So how does this help you understand this question? And so basically, why does it matter in context of the question that's being asked? As it says here on the bottom, you don't have to do all parts of happy for every document in a DBQ. That would be insanity. But you might want to choose 1 or 2 and analyze them for a specific document. So we're going to break this down in the Peloponnesian Wars in a section from Pericles in just a second. I'm going to move this down and I ask you to hit pause and read through it, and then we'll break it down afterwards. So here we have an excerpt from Pericles' funeral oration from the Peloponnesian War. So this will be a historian of the Peloponnesian Wars. And so take a minute, hit pause, read through this, and try and analyze the happy by yourself. Okay, now that you've had a minute to analyze the document from Pericles, let's go through and talk about exactly what's going on here in terms of happy. So, historical context. So this comes from the Peloponnesian War. You guys should know from your reading or from World History 1 last year that the Peloponnesian War is a series of wars between Athens and Sparta, and Pericles was the leader during these battles, and it even says right there. And so, what's happening in the Peloponnesian War? Athens is fighting against Sparta, another Greek city-state. Does Athens win this war? No. And so, this is going to be Athens trying to rally against victories by the Persians and try to get people really excited, even though you can see funerals, not so good. That goes into the audience. Who is Pericles speaking to? So since this is a public ritual, as it says here, Pericles is likely speaking to the Athenian public. This matters. This was a speech because A, not a lot of people are going to be reading and writing, and B, this is going to be something he's saying to kind of persuade people into this goal here, into fighting for democracy and being passionate about the Athenian lifestyle. Speaking of purpose, so his goal in talking about democracy, so he is trying to get people from all walks of life to join in with him and to continue fighting. Also to be proud of who they are so that they can push forward in this war with a superior military opponent. And so he's also trying to move people of all social standing in fighting for the Athenians, whereas sometimes it's challenging to move folks who may not see themselves as being served by the state. Point of view. Who was Pericles? So who was Pericles? We know that he was the leader of Athens after the Persian Wars and before the Peloponnesian Wars. He was one of the folks who was set about in glorifying Athens. He sponsored the building of the Parthenon. He tried to strengthen Athenian democracy in a few different ways through getting more people involved. And so him defending democracy is really him trying to defend Athens as a whole. So how does that impact what's being said? In this case, Pericles is trying to get people to support his viewpoint as well as to try and move forward through the war. And so all of these things, in this case, we're looking at historical context. Athens is losing, and so Pericles is trying to persuade the people. So we're going purpose. Pericles is trying to persuade the public, that's the audience, into fighting alongside of him. Whoops, bad editing there. He's trying to get the Athenian public to fight alongside of him, and so part of the point of view here is that as the leader, he feels it's his obligation. Also, he wants to continue on this life's work of expanding and glorifying Athenian democracy, trade, and power. So why does this document help you understand Athenian democracy? He does explain that he sees them as a leader. He does explain how democracy supports the many as opposed to the few. And how does it help you to understand the wars between Greek city-states? I feel like we would need a bigger question to relate this to and to tie this back into before answering that. At any rate, I hope this helps you understand happy. What you'll be doing next is looking at some documents about Cyrus the Great and going through and doing the happy for those. Have a good one.